Hey guys, I'm Isaac, and I'm a 22-year Army veteran. And that in 12 months I'm going to retire from military service. And I'm navigating that process, and I can't find a whole lot on personal experiences out there other than talking to a couple of buddies who just completed their retirement. So I'm going to create this video and hopefully a couple of other videos to help others navigate that process, show you some of the things that I've worked for me, maybe didn't work for me, because there's a lot of information out there. So I joined the Army from a small town in North Carolina. I grew up on a farm, and I joined in early 2001 as a private in the airborne. I spent 5 years jumping out of planes at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And then later as a sergeant first class, I went on to officer candidate school at Fort Benning in 2009. My family and I have traveled all over the world. You can see here we've been to 30 plus countries, and we've lived in a dozen places throughout the U.S. Recently we were in Korea, and before that we were in Germany. So we've been all over the place. In 2019, when I was at 18 years of service, I went to my first SFL TAP, the Soldier for Life Transition Assistance Program class in Korea. And at that TAP class, I told them that I might get offered a promotion, and if I did, I'd stay 3 more years and retire at the rank of major, because I was a senior captain at 18 years. So they handed me my first checklist, which I'll show you here, and that checklist kind of started me mulling over the requirements and all the things that I had to do. So I printed that thing out, and I put it on my desk, and I just started thinking about it, talking to my wife, talking about what our plans were. I did get promoted, so I kind of put everything on pause, but I still had this checklist, and I still kind of mulled over the complicated requirements that was on this particular checklist. So as of July of next year, I will have been a major for a total of 3 years, and I will have been in the Army for 22 years. So I plan on finally retiring, and I went to my local TAP office here at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas last year in 2021. And they gave me another set of checklists, and here's one of the main ones here. And what I quickly began realizing when I got this checklist is there's an abundance of information out there. I sat through some of their briefings and the Soldier for Life. There's a change of mission publication, TAP themselves, all the people that come in and talk to you. There's Hiring Our Heroes, skill bridge opportunities, and even when you're on active duty, you can start looking at some of the VA training programs that they have and other things to the VA. So there's a lot of websites out there. You just look at these links here on this website, and you start to realize that some of these checklists and some of these documents and handouts and stuff that you start getting, there's a lot of information, and not all of it is applicable to you, as I quickly realized that not everything applied to me. I realized quickly that I need to figure out exactly what it was that I wanted. I had to communicate my goals and my intent to myself, my family, and to anybody that would listen. So that's one of the reasons that I'm making this video, and we'll probably make a couple of more, is to kind of keep myself honest. If I put it out there, if I say it out loud, if I look for feedback, and then I'll keep myself honest, other folks will hold me accountable, which is exactly what I'm looking for now. I'm going to be making this video where I'll go through a couple of the other checklists and documents that I've looked at, and some of the things that I'm doing so far, and then what I have coming up. So I think if you're thinking of retirement and want to understand basic requirements, you should probably search for the Army Retirement Guide. They publish one every year. This one is from 2022. And it's a really good resource. It's got some good checklists in there. You know, everybody's got a checklist, and some of the checklists you'll see have been created by other service members who are transitioning. But this one here says jumpers trust the rigger's expertise before they jump. And I think that's great, because as a jumper, as an airborne soldier, what we trust about riggers is that they can potentially jump any chute that they pack, right? So we trust that they pack the chute planning for their own jump. And that's kind of the same way with retirement. When I'm talking to folks and I see these green suiters have retired, have done things successfully, who are successfully navigating the civilian world, like those are the folks that I put a little bit of trust in, because they've done it, and I kind of want to get their expertise. So if you look through here, you'll see some checklists. The first one here had me at 36 to 24 months, and obviously I didn't look at this until well after that. So when you look through this one, it's very broad, and it talks about basically just going to TAP, looking at Army regulations, going to the installation offices, the retirement services office, the transition offices, just kind of like information gathering, and then develop your own timeline. What do you want to do? What is it that, what are your goals? And that's something that my wife and I had to sit down and consider. So we've completed this first checklist, and we've kind of identified, where we want to live. We're going to stay in the area for a year, and then my daughter's going to pick a college, and then we're going to move. So those are things that we had to decide. And the next one is 24 to 18 months. So I just completed that part last year. I am at 11 months right now. So for this one, going into the seminars, attending those scheduled, they're week-long blocks of instruction. Some of them are 2 days, some of them are 3, depending on which ones they are. Making sure you don't have any service obligations, or you're not scheduled to PCS, those kind of things. One of the things, actually 2 of them that I want to highlight here are My Army Benefits calculators. There's some great calculators out there that you can plug your basic information into, and they'll just give you a pretty good swag at what you're going to be entitled to, and kind of what you will be needing when you retire, as far as pay compensation and things like that. And another thing is the VGLI. So the VGLI is your SGLI if you convert it. The thing to consider with this is the price point. So you're used to paying a set amount every month, but that amount is going to increase the longer you have the VGLI. So as you get older, you're going to pay more. And here's the price chart. You'll see that it quickly becomes very expensive to maintain. So it's not something that I think most people would depend on forever. So I recommend something that I just did was get civilian life insurance, get a term policy, look at what your requirements are. I think Dave Ramsey says that you should have 10 to 12 years worth of insurance of your salary, 10 to 12 years of your salary. So if you make $100,000 a year, you should have $1 million in life insurance. So that's kind of the number that I used, and I got myself a civilian life insurance policy before I started going to the doctor and thinking about the VA and all of those things. So something to think about. 12 to 18 months. All right, that's where I'm at now. So I just completed this checklist. I got a couple of things still on here that I need to knock out, but I've officially submitted my packet. I'm at 11 months now, so it's working its way up the approval chain, and my retirement date is going to be 1 July 2023. I'm starting to go to medical and dental for all the things that I've yet to resolve, or all the things that I've kind of neglected over the course of my career. We all have those things. I think those are important to get after, and don't let them linger as you go through your retirement process. The survivor benefit plan is something that I am going to buy into when I retire, something that you have to decide whether you're going to buy into or not. So it's important to understand that and talk to your spouse about that. Next up is a 6 to 12 month checklist. There's only a couple of things on there, but those are some pretty beefy ones. I'm already working on those. you'll see that I have the first two kind of checked off, and I'm working on the others. I'm looking at finishing up purchasing my civilian attire that I'll need when I transition and start working in a civilian career. Here's a link that I'll post here at the bottom, that a great resource for you to get some suits, some business attire in case you don't have any. And it's pretty reasonably priced. It's geared toward veterans. You can go in and get fitted. I think it's a great tool. I looked into them, and I'm going to get this done here soon. And then at the bottom, you have 1 to 6 month with things that you definitely want to get after before you retire. And finally, you have the final checklist, which is retirement month, and then after retirement, things that you have to do. So those are some checklists that I'm working off of right now. I got those in the Army Retirement Planning publication they send out every year. So the 2022 version is where I pulled these from. Something else that I've worked on is, using the tools that I have as a staff officer in the Army, is creating this operational approach. So if I treat retirement like I would treat any Army operation, you need to have a good understanding of what your goals are, what your requirements are. So I created this here with a simple problem statement outlining, what is it that I'm trying to solve, and then what my current conditions are and what my desired end state is. So you see that on either side. The little red star there is where I currently am in time, and I'm between phase 1 and 2. And I have the phases broken down there. So I'm right at the planning stage, about to start the first offensive stage, which is interview, network, apply to positions. That's kind of what I'm going through now. So my ultimate goal is to retire to a rural piece of property, my own little farm, and that'll be a couple of years down the road. It won't be immediately after retiring, but I outlined that there to make sure that I dedicate some time and effort toward achieving that goal. And some of those are more closer targets, the training, certifications, some of the things that I'm working through immediately to help me transition and make myself marketable. But this helps me kind of lay it all out. So that's what I've done so far. This week coming up, I have 5 doctor's appointments that I'm going to get treated for things that I've been neglecting and putting off for way too long. So I'm getting after that. I'm calling the local veteran service officer. He and I connected on LinkedIn, and he's been highly recommended by some folks that have recently retired. So I'm going to talk to him, and hopefully he'll help me navigate the VA. I'm going to a question and answer session on a corporate fellowship. I plan on applying for a corporate fellowship to help me transition into a permanent civilian position. I'm going to call the Garrison Retirement Office this week so that I can attend their retirement briefing sometime in August. I'm going to check with them on the status of my retirement packet. And then after next week, I'll make another video to kind of outline, some of the pros and cons, or, pitfalls that maybe I've found myself into after this next jam-packed week. And my goal is, if I put my energy into this and I say things out loud, then I'll put it out in the universe, and it'll kind of help steer me and maybe help others if others are kind of struggling through the retirement process. And then if others that have already transitioned, if you see this video and you have any words of wisdom for me, please feel free to share. I appreciate it.